Hey, welcome back to the Root. This is Toni, and here we talk about spirituality, self-love, healing, and beauty. And I know I've touched on so many other things, and I rarely touch on beauty. So I'm going to kind of go into that a little bit more. If you've um, looked back at some of my prior videos, you know I'm an advanced licensed esthetician in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I started beauty school at 53 years old. I always say it was like my third major career in life. I had been a wife and a mom, had a career in the medical field, took an early retirement, and then was kind of trying to figure out what the latter years of my life was going to look like. And on the suggestion of my genius adult daughter, I went to school, became an esthetician. And it's something I've been doing now for over 5 years. And it has definitely had its ebbs and flows, its ups and downs, things about it that I like and things about it that I don't. Definitely one of those things where you have to find your own niche. You have to create things that work for you and then just really drive that home. I took a pause from the beauty industry in like the end of November. And I just kind of brought all of my things home. And I was just kind of burnt out. I was burnt out with just seeing people just doing the same things. I was tired of the same reels. Everybody just kind of always jumping on the same bandwagon and doing sort of the same thing. And I was over it. And, you know, it's just one of those things. I can't speak for all states because, of course, every state's different. But here in Vegas, there's a lot of estheticians. I mean, they just crank them out. And one thing that they really don't expound on a lot is when you are in school, it's really the focus is just to get you licensed. They touch on very little as far as the business aspect, as far as like your cost and all of those types of things, even just basic stuff as far as like inventorying your products and things like that. A lot of it you're just learning once you get out there on your own and doing it. And for me, because of starting later in life, for me, it was just a lot of things that I just didn't want to deal with anymore. I had already been long overworking, strenuously long days. I'm also a grandma. I wanted to be able to have a lot more freedom in my life to spend that time with my grandson and to help my adult children out to lighten their load any way that I can. That's just really a part of who I am and the things that I love to do. I feel like I missed out on that, being able to do those things with my children when they were young because I was just working so much. And I just had such a distaste in my mouth for that, for not having the freedoms, in my life for things that I really wanted to do, the things that really mattered to me, not the things that society say should matter. And, so I really, that's my thing, is for aesthetics to bring me that freedom where I can be able to go and get him and kind of work, my clients around that. And then of course to do some learning. I worked at several different spas. There were some that I loved. They ended up closing. That was also some of my frustration, as I found there are so many people here that buy a business, but they're not a licensed person. Not that you have to be, but it does make a difference. If you're buying, a business in a particular, genre, and then you don't know anything about that, it makes it difficult to sort of relate to the people that are actually doing the work. And I found that happens a lot here in Vegas. People will open a spa. They don't really know much about running a spa. And unfortunately, it ends up, closing. So I just kind of got frustrated with the whole thing, and I brought my things home, and I have not been back in a spa since the fall. And I did kind of start missing it like about a month ago because I adore my clients. They really are like friends and family to me, and they just mean a lot to me. And I really started just assessing, what did I really want to do? because when you get out of school, you're so excited. You think it's all these things that you should know. And I know for me, I just went like gung ho into doing advanced training and learning this and learning that, and then you kind of find out as you kind of go along. Like for me, I'm good at a lot of things, but are those really the things that I am the most passionate about? And is that something that I see myself doing like really for the long haul? So that's one of the things I came back home to do, was just sort of reassess, what did I really want to do? I paid all this money to go to school. I didn't want it to go to waste, but I wanted it to really be something that was heart-centered around what really made me happy. So if I'm going to be putting my time and energy into something, it was going to be the things that I loved. So that was the biggest thing I started looking at, like, what are the things that I do the most, and easy for me to love people. I love touch. I'm naturally very affectionate. I loved working with crystals. I have a beautiful set of crystal sound bowls. And I thought, okay, let's kind of start honing in the things that I love the most, and then make that be the predominant things that I do in the business. So what I created was the divine facial and the divine healing. And with those, one involves foot soak. We're working with crystal stones and some meditation. And then the other one, we're spending same type of the time in the skincare, but there's an extra 30 minutes that's added on to where you can actually get sound bath healing while you are getting the facial. So I had kind of primarily only brought those main things back because, again, I want to put 100% focus into the thing that I love the most and not just be all over the place. The other aspect about the beauty industry, especially when you're someone like me that's more natural, I don't wear a lot of makeup the majority of the time. I mean, I'm going to get dolled up if I'm going, to do a function or something like that. But the majority of the time, it's going to be all natural. I've never had Botox, never had fillers or any type of injection. It just was not something that appealed to me personally. I think it is a personal preference of the things that you want to do. But I think when we look at the body as a whole, these are things that are created, and they have to go somewhere. And I know they say the body absorbs it and this and that, but how do we really know? And that was always kind of my prime thing, was I didn't want to have to worry about what kind of condition my body was going to be in, when I'm in my 70s, from something that I started doing in my 50s that is not necessarily natural. Injecting these things in is just not natural. And to me, when I hear, things with Botox, and it comes, so many things in the beauty industry comes from a drug being for one thing, and then we find out the side effect is something else, and then they end up using it in the beauty industry. That's been the case with a lot of machines that they use, some therapy machines that I knew about when I worked back in the medical field years ago, are machines now that have been, changed and patented to be used in beauty. But for me, I just couldn't imagine, something that comes from botulism, and then we've changed that, and then we're putting it in to numb the face. So for me, the benefit did not, exceed the want or the risk. That's what I meant to say, the risk. The benefit did not exceed the risk. And I've seen some people that have had things happen, and, they getting things in their lip, and then all of a sudden it hits the nerve and the lips are swollen. I've seen droopy eyes, those types of things. And it just, I don't know, to me, it just was never that important. Plus, I'm definitely somebody, I've got a lot of commitment issues, and I know I'm just not going to be the person that's going to stay on schedule, going back however often it is that you need to get back to stay on track. I'm just not going to do it. It's just not that important to me. And I just began to see so many of my clients that were coming in that I felt like really have like face and body dysmorphia. That the more things they began to do, the more things that they wanted to do, when I never saw anything wrong with them in the first place. And so for me, the beauty industry has been a real challenge for me, because I definitely have a huge love-hate issue with that, because I want people to love themselves for who they are. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do things to make yourself feel your best. That is a complete personal decision. I'm going to love you regardless. But I do think sometimes we need to take stock in why we are doing the things that we are doing. And is it something that really is for our best interest? I think a lot of people focus on influencers. A lot of people are focusing on celebrities. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the tides are turning, and these celebrities are getting a lot of these things now removed out of their butts and their faces, and going back to a more natural look. And I think it's because we are, just in a place in the world where I think fake is no longer fun. I think the cost and the upkeep is daunting. And, at the end of the day, it still always comes back to the thing that I always say: what's going on inside of you that makes you feel like that's something that you need to do? So I think healing ourselves inside is the first place to start before we decide to jump on a trend. Years ago, when I worked at the hospital, we were one of the first places that had the weight loss surgery that was coming on, and the sleeve was brand new then, so way back. And I really considered jumping on the bandwagon and doing the surgery. And I went through the process. It was extraordinarily inexpensive if you wanted to do it there as a hospital employee. The recovery really didn't seem that bad. And so I went through the process. I went to the therapy that they had. But I don't know, to me, something didn't sit right. And I always felt like the therapy wasn't really very thorough. But the biggest thing for me was, did I have a mind change? Because I knew it was going to take more than just a tool to start making the weight loss happen, because you have to think about what comes next. And I said to myself, you're not really even faithful with the things that you do right now. And so would you really be faithful after surgery? And is that absolutely the suggestion? And are you willing to take this risk, knowing that you have young children at home, when you haven't really done anything to get out there and make it happen naturally? So for me, I opted out. And that was one of the things, like I said, I began to just realize with myself, it's just a lot of things that I just don't want to do. I don't want to commit to those types of things, because I also saw a lot of people have hella side effects after that. And unfortunately, some people even lost their life to complications afterwards. So I never had any regrets where that was concerned. And, to me, looking at things in the beauty industry, I don't know, it was just always really exhausting to me. I was very shocked when I was in school, and some of these girls, so young, I mean, barely in their 20s, already had so many surgeries, so much augmentation and things done, and they were, couldn't wait to get out of school and keep it going. And for me, I just have always kind of felt like I don't feel that age is some bad thing that happens, and that we have to do all this correction for it. It's just the opposite for me. With my husband dying in his mid-50s, my God, age is a blessing. Age is a blessing. And I don't know, for me, I'm not unhappy with how I look. So I feel good about myself. And, I figure the things that I want to, fix about myself, when I get my mind right and I get there, then I'll do it. And if I don't, this is the package, So I will start talking a little bit more about beauty, because I'll talk more about maybe kind of more the direction of things that I want to go. And I'm kind of on the fence if I want to look to rent another place again, or what am I going to do. But for now, it's still paused, and I'm just kind of chilling and, you know, seeing what comes next. Summertime in Vegas, a lot of times, is a really good time to work on skin and those types of things. So I don't know, I may rent a place a couple days a week or something like that, but I'll keep you guys updated, and maybe get some video of some of the things that I have, the things that I know, and the direction that I want to go. And maybe you guys can give me some suggestions. So I'll try to speak more on the beauty aspect, and we'll see you next time on To the Root.